Let's get out to Perry, Florida right now, where storm specialist Mike Seidel is standing by. Mike, in a pretty decent band right now as that rain and wind has picked up. What are you experiencing?
Well, we've got the horizontal rain, and it's sheets of rain. And now I'm hearing the alarm from my phone, which I'm listening to programming at Fox, go off. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's a flash flood warning or a tornado warning. You'll have to check and get back to me because I can't look at my phone right now. But we're now getting in to the fringes of the worst of Hurricane Helene, as Jane just mentioned. Category 4, 140 mile an hour maximum sustained winds. And we're going to get gusts here easily 100, if not 120 miles an hour. We've got great protection from the hotel here. The wind's coming in here from the east northeast across the street, but the closest trees downwind are probably about 100 yards away. So at this point, I'm fairly comfortable standing here as far as things flying around. It's just a big open field out there, so the wind has really nothing to be stopped by. As far as the rainfall totals, we hadn't had much rain until now. It was all east of us. Apalachicola, Panama City, 5 to 7 to 8 inches of rain. There have been flash flood warnings in that area most of today. We have not been under a flash flood warning. We're under a flash flood or a flood watch rather until tomorrow morning. This is moving very fast, upwards of close to 25 miles an hour. So once we get in the eye and then on the other side, the back side is not nearly as strong or wet as the front side. And I think it's going to be like we saw Debbie and Steenhatchee. The rain is going to shut down, and that's going to be pretty much it for the night, except the damage will have been done because those wind gusts are going to knock out the power. It'll be interesting, Jane, to see how long we keep power here in Perry. But they lost power in Debbie for a couple of days, but in Idalia last August, it was out for 7, 8, 9 days. A lot of trees came down. We're talking today with the mayor saying, well, those trees are down, but there's still other trees that were partially damaged. And with all this rain and even stronger winds by far versus Idalia, there's going to be a lot of power outages. And the power crews, as I talked to the mayor earlier at the airport, the power crews are going to be coming through the area after the storm blows by. So they're staging west of here, and they will come in after the storm goes by and set up at the airport. And we may actually be out there tomorrow, I'm not sure, but literally hundreds of crews. They're expecting 1,000 power crews in Perry alone to get the power back on. Jane?
Mike, we were doing some digging. The alarm that went off on your phone is an extreme wind warning for the eye wall of Hurricane Helene. So expecting those conditions to become dangerous, life-threatening over the next couple of hours. Really, truly, forget that. I mean, we're talking those impacts likely imminent when we're looking ahead towards, the next 30, 45 minutes. We could see that. I mean, the eye wall measuring what we're seeing right now, a good 40 miles from where you're standing.
Yeah, it has gone downhill very quickly in the past 30 minutes. Apologize for folks walking into the shot, but it's a definite downhill now, right into the eye wall and then into the eye. I think we're going to be in the eye by about 11:30 or so Eastern, if my math is right, about 2.5 hours. But in those 2.5 hours, we get those 100-mile-plus wind gusts, and that really is the crux here. The winds knocking out the power. They can handle the rain, flash flooding. It does flood some areas, low-lying areas, but it goes away. It's going to be certainly the wind that's going to be the big story here in the power outages.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking a Category 4 hurricane, intensity up to 140 miles an hour, and at the surface, measurements reading in that northeast quadrant of that eye wall, which is going to be coming ashore, likely in and around the Big Bend, in where you are in Perry, measuring upwards of 130 miles an hour. So this is the worst case scenario and something that residents in Perry have never experienced before. I mean, you've covered a lot of hurricanes. This is rare for the Big Bend to get a landfalling Category 4 hurricane, and one that is continuing to intensify.
Well, it's really rare anywhere, let alone the Big Bend, to get a Cat 4, Cat 5. We've only had 4 Cat 5s make landfall in the U.S. Going back to the Labor Day hurricane. So it is rare to get a landfall in Cat 4. And so it is. We're in uncharted territory, especially with a surge. Hurricane Center is saying 15 to 20 feet. Tide is not a matter here because the tidal range is 7 or 8 inches. And we'll see how that all matches up as we get the, we get the analysis post-storm but a 15 to 20 foot surge would be higher than they had from Idalia when the surge ranges in this area in the Big Bend were 7 to 12 feet. And you remember, on top of that surge, you've got these huge, massive, destructive waves that are going to just batter everything in sight. So that's the other issue, and that's why we're not near the coast. We're 20 miles inland.
Yeah, positioning yourself in a safe zone when that surge is in the forecast. And given how it's performed already down the coast in places like Clearwater Beach, record surge over 5 feet already, and the worst is still to come there with that wind shift over the next couple of hours and high tide. Mike Seidel in Perry, Florida, our storm specialist, thank you for the update. We're going to continue to check in with you.
Outer part of the inner eye wall. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but we're up in Perry, Florida here. This is not far from where Debbie made landfall, a couple of weeks ago, or several weeks ago, I suppose. Mike Seidel, you were in that storm too. Here we are in a Category 4. The eye wall's just starting to come in. I would say you've got a little bit before the worst of it. I'm sure you've been watching the radar. Give us the situation in Perry right now.
Yeah, certainly it is going downhill very rapidly. We're just getting into the edge of the worst of Helene, and then we'll be in the eye in about an hour or so. But for the next hour, we've got those potential wind gusts over 100 miles an hour. We've already gusted over 60 at the airport, about a mile from here. The power is out here. It went out at 9:52 Eastern. I'm looking down the road here, and there is still power on. So not everybody is out in this part of Perry. And the rain, the sheets of rain coming down, that's the other issue. The flash flood warning goes until 3:15 in the morning. We've got the extreme wind warning until midnight. That is right here and right up across I-10 to the Georgia line, the swath of the eye wall. They put that out about an hour or so ago, and that's because the winds could gust over 100 miles an hour. Certainly not out of the question. We've got maximum sustained winds of 140 with the hurricane not far from landfall. We're about 20 miles due north, almost due north, from Keaton Beach, where we were yesterday, and that's where we're expecting that surge of up to 15 to 20 feet. If they get that high, that'll be the highest they've had at least in many, many years. The highest surge they've seen recently was Idalia, which was just last summer of 7 to 12 feet. The superstorm had an 8-foot surge. I'd have to look back before that, but you don't often see a Cat 4 hurricane make landfall. We've only had 4 Cat 5s make landfall in the U.S., so it doesn't happen very often. But just the rain, the wind, the roar of the wind, and the power flickered. It flickered, and you hear literally the roar from the folks out here. But what they've done now is they've closed the front door because they don't want the door to get blown in. There's entrances on the sides of the hotel. I see a few folks in their rooms who have flashlights, but basically where we are, it's pitch black. The wind blowing hard enough now, and the rain stings you as it hits you. There goes a gust. It's got to be pushing 60 miles an hour. Certainly haven't had any gust 80 or 90 yet. I'd know that. That would probably knock me off my feet. And I'm looking down the road. I see a couple of cars, and right across the street there, you can see the power is on over there and down the street. So this little section, what I can hear in the distance is the roar coming through the trees, and it's got to be blowing pretty hard to hear that as we get now into the eye wall of Hurricane Helene making landfall. It may be right there around Keaton Beach, and that was the landfall for Idalia August last year. So they've had 3 situations with a storm surge and power outages. With Idalia, power was out over a week. For some folks, 9 days. With Debbie, it was a shorter run. It wasn't as windy. But now you can really feel the effects and the energy coming from the hurricane. 3 hours ago, our winds were running 10 to 15 miles an hour. We came on the air at 6 Eastern. We were out at the airport, and it was barely even blowing. And then all of a sudden, this is coming in hard and fast. This is not moving 5, 6, 7 miles an hour. We've had a lot of recent hurricanes that have been kind of just dribbling in. Debbie came in and slowed down to about 6 or 7 miles an hour after landfall and dumped all the rain just north of here up around Live Oak, north and northeast of here. But this one's going to be roaring fast, and that's why the strongest winds will be able to go farther inland, because it's not going to be slow and methodical where the trees and the land, the friction and the loss of the heat source from the ocean or from the Gulf of Mexico takes care of the circulation. Now it is going to wind down pretty quickly after midnight tomorrow, but still, we've got hurricane warnings all the way up to Macon, Georgia, and that's about a 75-mile drive south of Atlanta, and then tropical storm warnings north of there. As you get farther inland, like in the western Carolinas, it's going to be the heavy rainfall and the risk of flash flooding. So we have the high wind warning and the flash flood warning, as I mentioned. Also, the tornado watch. They've extended that. They put a new watch out, and that one goes until 6 a.m. in the morning. There's a couple of other tornado watches on the peninsula and then up through the eastern Carolinas. A lot of wind shear on the east side of the hurricane, and especially when you get away from the eye wall, those bands, you can get quick spin-ups and the possibility of a tornado. Now, tornadoes in this situation typically aren't like the ones we see with supercells, where you get Cat 3s, or rather EF3s or EF4s. Still waiting for the stronger wind gust. Certainly haven't gusted more than maybe 60 or so at this point. But I do hear the roar in the distance, so the wind has definitely picked up pretty good here as we get into the eye wall. Hey, I'm all for the winds not peaking out over 100. Even though the power is out for some of us, the winds don't peak out. We get fewer trees down, less power outages, less damage, and we can get life back to normal here, because, as the mayor said, they have just been inundated with not only Idalia and then Debbie, and now this one, Hurricane Helene. We're going to sit out here and hang out in the eye wall as long as it's safe. Again, there's really nothing upwind to get us. The closest trees are probably a good 100, 150 yards away, so we're kind of out in the open, and we have our safe spot here at the hotel. And I can't see the radar back in New York. I can't see the radar right now in this, so I'm not quite sure where we're sitting on the radar, but I know when I came out here, we're right on the edge of the eye wall.
You are absolutely correct. You could not be any more on the edge of the eye wall. It's literally about to move in. Probably within the next 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to start to feel it, and then you'll be in it for a while. That is Fox Weather's Mike Seidel. Thanks a lot for that. I'm sure we're going to get back to his shot pretty cool. I can't wait to see what this shot looks like. Mike Seidel is in Perry, Florida, and they're just starting to get into the outside part of the eye wall. We are going to go back out to him and... Oh, yeah, okay, let's go to Mike right now, actually. I thought we were going to have to wait for a second, but we're going right out to Mike. Mike, what's going on out there? Oh, that certainly looks like an eye wall.
Yes, this is your eye wall weather. We have easily gusted over hurricane force. Got to keep the center of gravity low. These are the strongest ones we've seen. Heavy, lashing tropical downpours. Well, we still have some power on down the street, and we still have power on across the street, but it is pitch black on this side of the street here in Perry. Keep in mind, we're about 20 miles from the coast, and now you can keep checking back with me. I'm going to stay with this shot. I haven't had a chance to look at the radar because I've been out here, and I assume the eye wall is getting close to Keaton Beach, which, by the way, is where they posted the landfall of Idalia, which was a weakening, I believe, Cat 2 last August, and this was a Cat 4 intensifying as it was approaching the coast. Winds are driving the rain across the highway. There's nothing upwind for about 100 yards, so I feel pretty confident out here that it's just going to be rain that hits me. We haven't seen anything blowing around in the wind so far. But boy, this is your basic car wash weather. This is kind of like what we had in Carolina Beach. The winds weren't as strong, but we had 15 inches of rain in 3 hours. Now, we're not going to get that because, as you can see, we're going to get into the eye soon, and then the rain's just going to shut off, and the wind's going to back off in a big way. It'll be interesting to see, though, if it's going to be comparable to the eye wall I was. The only other major hurricane I've been in an eye wall was Floyd back on September 16th, 1999. 25 years ago, amazingly. And when it came over us at Wilmington and Wrightsville Beach at the bridge there over the intercoastal, the winds went dead calm. The temperature went up from about 70 to 78 degrees, and then you can see the birds flying around because they were, they're trying to stay where the wind is calm or light. Now with Debbie, we were in the eye back in August, not far from here in Steinhatchee, and the winds calmed down, but they were still gusting 25 to 30, but the rain, it shut off just like that, and that was it for the rainfall. They ended up with about 4.5 inches of rain. We're going to get some rain, I think, based on the radar, Ari, on the backside, but the winds won't be as strong. The backside usually is never as strong and dangerous as the front side, and we're right now in the northeastern eye wall. Boy, this rain is really just coming down. Let me see if I can look across the road. Woo! Wow, that was a good gust. But still, certainly nothing, I would say 90 to 100 miles an hour. I'd say maybe hurricane force. I'm not getting jostled around. I'm pretty wide open and exposed, much like the airport. Now, the airport measured 63 about a half an hour or so ago. I'm sure they've gusted higher than that. I was out there earlier, and as the case is with most airports, it's wide open, and there's nothing to stop the wind from coming across those runways out there. That's about a mile down the road here in Perry. So, Ari, what do you see now on the radar? You can be my eyes on the radar out here, because I can't see it because of the situation. Can you tell me?
So, Mike, you are right in the middle of the eye wall. The last time I talked to you, you were right on the edge, about to get into it, and now I'd say you're directly in the middle of the donut part of the eye wall, I suppose. With the eye, I would say the eye is probably there within about... Eye wall gets closer to you?
I think it's holding steady. We're still getting these hurricane force wind gusts, torrential pelting rainfall blowing horizontally. The power behind me down the road has gone out. We still have some power across the street. That's it. Other than that, it's just a big, dark, scary, stormy night here on the Florida Big Bend. This area hit with Idalia, then hit with Debbie in August, and now another one. The NOAA buoy down at Teton Beach is not operating, not reporting, so I have no idea what the winds are like there. There is another reporting station, I think at Depot Beach. I don't know if someone back at the home office here in New York can dig that up, but our winds here have gusted over hurricane force, and they continue to just, whoo, there's a good one right there. That is a pretty healthy gust. And this is the issue here. It's moving so fast, and we're going to get potentially 70-mile-an-hour gusts, maybe hurricane force gusts, well into southern and central Georgia, and then on the backside, the east side, the worst side of this, is going to go up towards Augusta, Georgia, right there on the river. And that's going to knock out power too, along with all the rainfall. Even though it's been so dry most of the summer, you know, the first couple inches, but then you get up to 6, 7, 8 inches, then you run into issues with flash flooding, and then the trees get uprooted. Whoa! Did you see that power flash, Ari?
I was surprised I didn't hear you.
There goes another one.
Yeah, it was at least two.
There goes
Look at it, it's still
another
going.
one. Holy. Oh my gosh, that was 3 or 4 right there. I thought it was lightning. There goes another one. That's 4 or 5. Way in the distance. I thought at first it was lightning, but definitely not lightning.
Yeah, it's tough to tell, Mike.
4 or 5, Ari?
Yeah, it's tough to tell when you're out in the field. I could tell it was a power flash immediately because it had kind of a green glow and it lasted a long time, and I was going to try to cut in and tell you, and then obviously we got the 4 or 5 in a row. But
there goes another one.
There you go. I'm going to send it.
6.
Yeah, you just keep going,
Holy
Mike. This is incredible.
I've never seen that many power flashes back to back to back in my career. There goes another one. The whole sky is just lighting up in green. This is unbelievable. Holy. And I think Robert, my camera and my photog is wide enough that you can see the flash. Am I correct, Ari? You can see that back at home.
Oh yes, you can absolutely see it. It's the star of the show while it was going on, but that is unbelievable. You've covered a lot of these storms, Mike. You're saying you've never seen this many power flashes in a row?
No, this is something I've never experienced. I've seen maybe 1 or 2, and I've seen them with ice storms in the Northeast, but I've never seen anything like that. That would have to be, what, 6 or 7. I'm going to have to grab that one for the YouTube channel. The wind, it's still battering us. What is the situation now? How far are we from the actual eye?
Well,
is it wobbling so we stayed it longer.
Yeah, I'll be impressed if you can hear me talking here, Mike. But yeah, I mean, you're still going to be about you're still going to be about 15 or 20 minutes at least in this stuff. The inner eye wall is it's starting to get closer to you. You're over the halfway point within the eye wall donut, I would say, but you've still got a little bit to go.
Haven't seen any more power flashes, but that's fine. Again, you get out here and the adrenaline goes. You know, this is part of the reason I do this is, well, the main reason is just to, you know, report on the weather, and it's always been a hobby of mine since I was young, but also, you know, trying to keep people safe and save lives. But when you have an experience like that, it's something you won't forget. I'm not going to forget that. All those power flashes. And it's only the second. Oh, by the way, I wanted to mention, what is the pressure right now? I wanted to ask you what the pressure is.
I think at last check it was 939, if I'm not mistaken, right? The pressure, he's asking what the pressure. Yeah, 939. Yep.
Yeah. Well, let's put that in perspective, Ian. I was covering Ian down at Fort Myers Beach 2 years ago. We were there at the causeway at the Marriott in the eye wall of a Cat 4 for 4 or 5 hours. This is not going to last nearly that long, but the pressure at landfall was 941 millibars, and now we're below 941. So this pressure at landfall is likely going to be lower than Ian was. Ian, though, was a different animal. It wasn't as large, but also it came into a more populated area, beach resorts. The Big Bend area is not nearly as populated, and there's not really any beach resorts per se. We've got a couple of beaches, Keaton and Deacle. Steenhatchee is more of a fishing town. It's not right on the Gulf. So there you go. We've got pressures lower than Ian from August of 2022 as we continue just to feel the wrath of this Cat 4 hurricane. You know, we've been watching this, about 10 or 11 days from that disturbance that came across the Atlantic. And then it kind of hooked up with a gyre down there in the Western Caribbean, and here we are with Hurricane Helene making landfall shortly. We're going to stay with you, Ari, and we'll come back out here as time permits, and we'll throw it back to you in Atlanta.
Yeah, unbelievable, Mike. We're going to be coming back out to you plenty of times in the next couple of hours. We're very close to landfall here. I'm looking at some of these new radar scans. I think we're within about 15 minutes to half an hour of official landfall, which is when the center of the eye makes it over land. It's going to start to get into the eye. Let's see what the weather's like. What's it like out there right now, Mike?
Ari, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
But it is just roaring through here in the Big Bend of Florida. We're in Perry, about 20 miles north of Keaton Beach, as landfall is imminent. And also imminent here is getting into the eye here in Taylor County, where they had a mandatory evacuation for the entire county. The power is out as far as the eye can see, except across the road for some reason. And it went out here at the hotel at 9:52 Eastern. So we've been in the dark for about an hour and 15 minutes, and hopefully they won't be in the dark for days. Like with Adalia, 7 to 9 days. Even Debbie back in August, they lost power. Rainfall just continues to pelt us, excuse me, here in Perry. And the other thing I noticed is the power flashes have stopped for now. If you were watching a little while ago, we had about 6 or 7 power flashes in a row, but that has stopped. There goes another gust. And just, I can hear the, I keep mentioning this, but just the roar in the distance. And when you hear that roar, you know that moments away from another strong gust like that one, which will knock you off your feet if you're not careful. You gotta brace yourself and deal with it. Ari, can you give me an update? I know we're on the edge of the eye wall, and I can also tell you it's going to be hard to hear you because my ear has filled up with water, and the my earpiece is drowning. Yeah,
but no, I mean, Mike, you're
right now.
You're right.
We'll
on
stay
that.
out here if you can give me some updates
so
on what you're seeing on the radar.
You're right on that inner eye wall. You're about to be in the eye very soon, so you're probably getting the worst of it right now. It's amazing to hear the, from the amount of.
I can't hear a thing.
He can't hear me. Okay,
I'm just going to keep
we'll
describing what we've got going here. Now here comes a vehicle down the street. It's an emergency vehicle, but as it comes by, you'll maybe catch a quick view of the wind and the rain in the lights here coming across the street.
Wow.
And there's some more emergency vehicles coming here. By the way, the power crews are ready to come in here and get this power back on. We talked to the mayor out at the airport earlier. And we talked to some gentlemen who are ahead of them who actually provide meals for the power crews. They're expecting 1,000 in here tomorrow, but they staged outside of the storm track over in the Panhandle or north and west of where this is hitting. And they're going to come in here as soon as it's safe to go. Some more emergency vehicles going down the roadway here in Perry. I'm seeing just small pieces of debris blowing around, some leaves, some twigs, but I have not seen anything large. We haven't even seen a palm frond come down here. So that, that is a good sign, but no doubt the power is probably not going to come on immediately tomorrow. There's just so many trees in this area with so much wind, with these hurricane force wind gusts, and it'll be interesting to see. I suspect we may have cracked 100 out at the airport. Hard to say. It's hard to get the ops now. Just listen to that wind. Wow.
Can you hear me, Mike?
Keep the low center of gravity. Woo. That was pretty healthy right there. Pretty sporty out here in Perry. There are some more emergency vehicles coming up the street. And the thing about this is, once we get in the eye, it's going to be like night and day. It's kind of like a summertime thunderstorm. The rain is shut down.
Back to Fox Weather's live coverage of historic Category 4 Hurricane Helene. I'm alongside Ian Oliver, Mike Seidel. Ian, we talked about Tampa quite a bit during the last block, but the eye wall actually went farther up toward the north and missed you guys, didn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Clearly we saw the effects. We were on the wrong side, the dirty side of this storm, which pushed all that water into the coastline and into Tampa Bay and generated all this storm surge flooding. But this was truly only the first phase of Hurricane Helene. The second phase was a more violent one, and it's what Fox Weather storm specialist Mike Seidel experienced farther off to the north. Mike, watching that eye wall move in, that was an incredible scene. What's it been like since? I know this storm has been especially powerful.
Yes, we got into the eye, and we're kind of in the eye now, but getting into the back side. The wind has shifted from the east-northeast around to the west-southwest. So on the bottom side, there's a pretty good gust. The winds didn't go dead calm, but they backed off quite a bit. Something else that happened is the rain came to an end. We still have a light rain shower right now. Not a whole lot of rain. It was such a quick hitter. I mean, we had about an hour of really sporty weather, and that was about it. Rainfall about 2.5 inches at the nearby Perry Airport, and the peak wind gust was 99 miles an hour. We were sustained at 55, gust to 99, and that was at 11:10 Eastern here in Perry, Florida. As far as damage goes, what we can see across the street, the gas station lost its awning and the corrugated aluminum blowing around down the street. The only power still on is across the street here. They may be on a generator, those security lights, but everything else, as far as the eye can see, is out, and it is dark. Temperatures now in the upper 70s. It came up a couple of degrees after the rain ended and we got into the eye. But we're going to stay breezy overnight. Still a little bit more rain, but the extreme wind warning has been lifted for this area. Now the worst of it is moving across the Florida-Georgia line and the eye wall getting into Valdosta. But Ari, it was quite the hour of wind gust, successive wind gusts over 60 miles an hour, and the very horizontal rain. And also, we had I think it was seven power flashes on the air. You may remember on the air live, just boom, boom, boom in the distance, and the sky just lit up this green almost consistently. I've never seen that many power flashes. I've seen one or two, but not seven in a row, just like that, back to back to back.
Great stuff from Mike Seidel there. You should have seen that earlier. That was unbelievable when he was in the eye wall. Let's go out to Robert Ray.
I'd seen Hurricane Ian. You had been through the eye wall of that. devastating in southwest Florida. The minimum central pressure of Helene was lower at landfall. What was that experience like?
Yeah, certainly Ian was a whole different animal, even though the pressure was lower with this one. Last I heard 939, Ian came on shore at a 941 2 years ago. It's not the same thing. We were in the eye wall of Ian for 4 to 5 hours. It was a very slow-moving storm, unrelenting. The surge at Fort Myers Beach, 14, 15 feet. Sanibel, we don't know what the surge was down at Keaton Beach or Decal Beach or Steenhatchee, but this was such a quick hitter. It was moving so fast with about 25 miles an hour. In fact, the rainfall only added up to about 2.5 inches. So the flash flood angle, even though the warning is until 3:15, the flash flooding angle is not an impact here. It's really the power being out. I think that's the biggest impact. We've had some minor damage in eyesight, the Marathon gas station over there. We have lost some corrugated aluminum. The gas station overhang, that's something you see very often with severe weather and tornadoes. The rain now is light, but what I noticed at the Perry Airport about a mile down the road, we had a wind gust to 99 miles an hour at 11:10 Eastern. That was on in the northeastern eye wall, northern eye wall. And then on the backside, as the winds came around southwest, we had 2 wind gusts reported over 70 miles an hour. One was 75, so that's hurricane force. I was a little surprised to see the winds that strong. I didn't think they'd be that strong on the backside, but they are. And they're still gusting right now about 35 to 40 miles an hour. We're really done with the rainfall. You can see on the radar right now, there is just not that much rain. Apologize for the vehicles that drive by. They obviously couldn't see the TV light blinding them. But the other thing is not only the wind, but the power is out to basically the whole county. About 13,900 customers. In fact, all the counties in this area, I looked on the power outage map, are in red, which usually means that everybody's out. So it's a basic blackout across the Big Bend, these counties in the Big Bend of Florida.
Yeah, Mike, and still so much of this left to go as this storm roars its way across the southeast. We